Ludicrous feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop Data and Koba Car Insurance.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us. I'm in my BYD Seal at the moment and I am in a really good mood for a few reasons. Number one, I guess because this is the 6-month review. I've had this car now for almost 6 months. I took delivery of it on from memory, about the 30th of December 2023. So in a few days time it'll be 6 months of age since I've had the vehicle, and overall it's been a fantastic experience. I really have not much to complain about it, especially now, because the second reason I'm in a good mood is that my vehicle can now charge at a V3 and V4 Tesla Supercharger, and that's thanks to a hardware and software upgrade thanks to BYD Sydney, and I was actually the second customer car to receive this fix. So check out my vlog on that experience. But I just left Campbelltown Catholic Club car park where there are 12 V4 Tesla Supercharger stalls, and just can confirm that it all works fine. So that's why I'm also in a good mood. But back on today's topic, which is a 6-month update or review of the BYD Seal. And the time I took delivery of that vehicle, it was back in December. And the choice was between this vehicle, the BYD Seal Premium, which is the mid-spec car, up against, I guess, a Tesla Model 3 update with the what they call the Highland car. And I had actually a rear-wheel drive vehicle booked in for delivery, which I then cancelled because I took delivery of this car. And I guess at the time I wanted a change. I've been a Tesla owner for so long, but I wanted to see what else was on the market. I felt like I knew a lot about the Tesla ecosystem already, and I was, happy with it. But I wanted to see where the rest of the market was up to, the competition. And I've got to say, BYD have done a great job. Because they've put out a vehicle that is very luxurious, as you can see, this BYD Seal. It's a very nice trim on the inside. The build quality is just almost, faultless, really. I can't say too much wrong about it. It's been a great experience, very comfortable drive. From the outset, I said in my first week review, it's a very, very smooth ride, good suspension, especially on the highways like this, but certainly on urban roads, I've been very happy with it. The interior, the finish, the fit and finish is great too. The trim is very good. As you can see, on the camera here, honestly hasn't worn too much at all in the last 6 months. I know it's still early days, but again, that's another benefit of it. The exterior, it's a great looking vehicle. People definitely say to me that the Seal is a great looking car, and I have to tend to agree. I love the little details around the vehicle. And yeah, look, I think probably the one thing that could probably let the car down is the infotainment system. It still feels probably not quite there yet. The finish is not as good as the Tesla infotainment system. I know Tesla's had many years to work on it. But having said that, BYD I've had 2 software updates now since I've owned the Seal, version 1.1 and version 1.2. With each update, you can see the improvements stacking up. The latest update, as you might have seen my vlog, was the wireless Apple CarPlay. That's made a big difference because having CarPlay allows me to have things like Waze, which I've got on currently at the moment, driving to destinations. And also the ADAS has improved as well. So when I first took delivery of the vehicle, the one main criticism of the car was the fact that the ADAS was just too loud and just not tuned for our roads. But since then, with software updates, you can now switch off some of the beeps and boops. Certainly the lane keeping assist has improved a lot as well. It's not trying to veer me off the lane nowadays. It's a very smooth ride. And I don't switch anything off anymore because now you can switch off ISLI, which is the traffic speed sign warning beep. That can be turned off permanently, which is great. And like I said, the emergency lane keeping assist does not try to steer you off the lane anymore. So all those problems initially that you might have read about when the Seal was first launched in Australia, that's no longer an issue as well. So that's been fixed for sure. I've done plenty of range tests, as you've seen in a couple of videos so far. So I've shown you that it can, even in the rain, it can reach 450 kilometers of range, no problem. I think in the dry, like today, it's a beautiful blue sky, you could probably get 500 kilometers with this long range spec, which is 82 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good road tripping vehicle, particularly now, of course, you've got the Tesla V3, V4 Supercharger to back you up. It's probably not the cheapest network in Australia, but by golly, it's such a reliable network that I wouldn't be fussed paying a bit more to make sure I can get a good charge to get onto my next stop. So yeah, that's improved the ownership experience for sure. I've done the 1 month service, as you've seen already in my video. That was a good experience at My Car Chatswood. They looked after me very well. I haven't yet had my 12 months service, obviously. That's coming up in 6 months' time, but obviously I'll vlog that as well coming up. Again, another thing that's letting the car down is probably, as you'll see very shortly, is the self-driving experience, or the intelligent cruise control. I have to say it's not super intelligent. There's something about this vehicle that's just not right with the driving experience on the freeway. If you put on ICC, it just doesn't keep the lane very well at all. And I guess the changing of the speed and so on is not super smooth just yet. So I think BYD, if you're watching this car, you need to watching this video rather, you have to have a look at that. Yeah, the lane keeping is just not very smooth. So let me put this on for you. Let me show you what I mean. So it's still a little bit jerky when trying to find the center of the lane. I still feel the market leader is Tesla in this regard. So you still got to be very vigilant, as you should be anyway, but extra vigilant when using the lane keeping or the lane centering feature for ICC. But otherwise, as you can tell, the insulation, cabin insulation is pretty good. Suspension is pretty good. Pretty smooth ride. I've shown in a few vlogs too that even though it's got a glass roof, as you can see, it's because it's IR treated and UV treated. It's actually quite nice in the cabin here. I know it's currently winter in Australia, but I had this car over summer, and I've shown that the temperature difference between this and an untreated glass roof like the Tesla Model 3, Model Y, it's a huge difference. It makes a huge difference to cabin temperatures, comfort levels, and ultimately efficiency, right? Because you're not using as much aircon to drive with an IR treated roof. Yeah, so I've been mainly using this vehicle as my daily driver. It's my town car, my urban commute. I go to work with it. I don't actually charge it every day because it's got such a big battery pack. 82 kilowatt hours, 500 kilometers of range. I probably charge it once a week now with the amount I drive in the car. Again, another gripe is that it's only single phase, a 6.5 kilowatt max, or maybe I've seen 6.7, 6.8 kilowatts to the car. You do lose a little bit, even though you're getting, you're charging 7.4 from your connector. You're losing a little bit to heat or whatever to transfer. So it would be nice if I could charge at 22 or even 11 like my Tesla Model Y at home. But because I leave it on overnight, I don't really notice it too much. It would be an issue if you would say to have a smaller window of like cheaper electricity, like some plans do nowadays in Australia. It would be nice to have a faster charging rate to take advantage of a smaller, cheaper tariff window. So just saying, I know that the cars in Europe and even China, I think, have faster charging. For some reason, we've been stuck here with a single-phase charger here with our BYD Seal. In fact, all across the BYD range, it's still single-phase charging. I've sort of gotten around that with solar charging at home. I've got the Ocular IQ Home currently, thanks to EVSE Australia. That allows me to use surplus solar instead of sending it back to the grid. It gets sent to my car. So the days I am home, I can use excess solar, like on a beautiful blue sky like today, to charge my car instead. So yeah, that's quite nice. V2L's been good. It's good to have in case of emergency. You can always plug your critical appliances like your refrigerator, microwave, internet router, things like that into the vehicle. And of course, for more important matters like, say, life-saving measures, you may need power, in places where the electricity may not be as stable. Then having V2L or vehicle to load is a useful feature to have in an EV, such as the BYD Seal. Yeah, I touched on briefly the infotainment system. Again, that's probably something that could be improved a bit. It's still a little bit clunky to get between the menus, but it's not too bad. You can still, you get used to it after a while. Most of the things are set and forget anyway. I've barely touched the settings these days after playing with it the first time. Nice having this binnacle screen. I'm a bit old school that way. I quite like having a center screen behind the steering wheel. I love having the head-up display. It's nice to have that. Watching, when you're watching the road, having the speedometer there in front of you, as opposed to having to look this way and that. So head-up display is a nice quality of life feature. Apple CarPlay is fantastic, like I said, and as I've shown you, you can use with an OBD2 port now, ABRP, which helps with EV trip planning. It's a very small subscription fee with ABRP, a better route planner, to have that on Apple CarPlay for your road trips. So now that you've got ABRP trip planning, you've got Tesla Supercharger network. Hey, it's happy days, right? You can go road tripping with this vehicle, no problem. Now that you've basically got the entire DC charging network at your beck and call all over Australia. So things are looking up for this car, that's for sure. Again, another gripe with the car is the sound system. That could probably be improved. I know it's Dyne Audio. It's a well-known Danish brand apparently in Europe, but to me it's still not there. I've tinkered with the settings, but yeah, that's probably my one gripe with the sound system. It's okay, like it's not terrible, but I think like the Tesla Model Y that we've got at home still has a better sound system compared to the BYD Seal. So only a small gripe. That's something I can put up with day to day, of course. Otherwise, like I said, plush interior, charging ports everywhere for your passengers. Done a couple of road trips already. So yeah, I think overall, 6 months in, I've been pretty happy with the car. Can't complain about the efficiency, the range, the comfort level, the trim, the looks of the car, and now the charging, DC charging network is open to me. I can do road trips with it with comfort, with ease. Like I said, the down points of the infotainment system, the autopilot or the intelligent cruise control. Like for straight roads like this is not a big deal. I can probably put my hands on the wheel and stay a bit more vigilant. But like I said, the lane centering could be better, I think, overall. It still tends to want to steer to one side if I'm not careful with it. But yeah, no, I think Apple CarPlay, the wireless Apple CarPlay, goes a long way to improve the quality of the drive experience in the BYD Seal. So would I still recommend this car 6 months on? I think I would, yes, I would definitely. I think it's a great alternative to the market leaders, Tesla, Model 3, Model Y. If you just want an alternative, if you want a different experience, if you can't live without Apple CarPlay, I think the BYD Seal is a fantastic alternative, and certainly something I would highly recommend you go for a test drive. Obviously the Tesla ecosystem is quite good, quite integrated, especially if you've got solar, if you've got a Powerwall, it's all nicely integrated with that. But, it's not a deal breaker for me. Like the BYD Seal with like a third-party app, like the Ocular Hue Home, for example, you can still monitor your charging. You can still charge off solar, things like that. So yeah, it's certainly not terrible by any means. It's a nice alternative, like I said, to the Tesla network. So yeah, thanks again everyone for watching. This is my 6-month review of the BYD Seal. A lot of improvements since my first couple of vlogs, the week in, the month in, even 3 months in. Yeah, with the software updates, with BYD looking after me, with the hardware upgrades, with the charging. I think I've been very happy with the BYD Seal so far, and I'll certainly keep on to this car. And it'll be very, very interesting to see the next generation of Chinese vehicles coming to Australia. So you've got Xpeng, you've got Zeekr coming in as well. So yeah, I'll be very curious to see what lessons they've learned from the BYD rollout here in Australia. And it's good for us consumers knowing they've got more cars coming onto the market for us to choose from. I think things will be looking up from here. So thanks everyone for watching. Until the next Ludicrous feed video, happy charging.